What is up? Today I'm going to be starting part one of a little two-part series. So here's part one, and then here's part two, which I'll film later and then withhold from you for a couple of days, because I'm a very nice guy. Okay, so this series is, I'll call it something like disproving that Algorithmic F2L is the future, or maybe something like Algorithmic F2L isn't the future. I think that's pretty clickbaity, I'll go with that. Oh my fucking god. Algorithmic F2L isn't the future, part one. So what kind of cases are we going to be talking about? Well, we're going to talk about, these are like cases where we do know algorithms to solve them. We have these two slots. This is on green. I'm not going to do that bit again. you get the point by now. And the idea is that anytime you have an F2L case with these two edges flipped and the other F2L pieces are such that doing standard F2L, I wouldn't say it's like not optimal, but like it's not really appealing to you. It's hard to say if this is a good one-size-fits-all approach. I don't think it is personally, but I'm showing you examples of cases where I think it could be a good one-size-fits-all approach. So starting with this one. So by the way, for this whole line of cubes, I'm going to be doing the same trigger. It's R'F, R, U', F'. It's actually a trigger I've talked about before. There's a video on my channel literally called R'F, R, U', F'. You'll be able to find it easily. The thumbnail is an MS Paint drawing of R'F, R, U', F'. Anyways, two flipped edges. So what does that trigger do? Well, what it does is it orients the edges such that you can now solve these two pairs without rotating. And you can either do this normally, I could just do normal F2L, but these aren't really great cases, or I could do pseudo F2L, which I will do here, like so. So I did like 5 moves, and then did a pseudo free pair, and then another pair. And I think that was better than, I think I set up something like that, and doing... Okay, so see what I mean? Like I don't necessarily think this kind of approach is the best one-size-fits-all approach. But I'm going to show you some other cases where I think it definitely is better. So because that was like, standard F2L type cases, it's hard to really recommend it for something like that. Something like this, on the other hand. So look at these atrocious pairs. You've got this case or you've got this case. Hell nah, screw that. So again, you can flip these edges, do that 5-move trigger. Oh, what do we have here? Free pair, that's going to make another free pair. And I don't need to show an example of what that would look like with standard F2L because I think you get the idea. It would not be very pretty at all. Now, this also works if the edges need to swap, so they're still flipped as far as like ZZ edge orientation is concerned, but they're in the wrong slots. And I've also got the corners, so they're bad F2L cases. Like this pair, like, come on. But do that 5-move trigger, and then you can do some standard-ish F2L. Another thing I want to show really quick before I get into the last example, by the way my table is really dusty and it's ruining my cube, is you can do the mirror of that trigger as well, and I think this is probably one of the areas that gives this idea, concept, whatever, more potential, because you can kind of choose one and the other based on what you think will set up better F2L. Obviously it's kind of hard to see in the moment in a speed solve, but I think the potential's there. So instead of doing R'F, you could do like wide R, U', wide R', U, F, and then you might get a slightly different case. I think this is basically the same one, but whatever, we'll rock with it. And I'm going to do pseudo F2L again because why the hell not? Alright, last case. And this is just kind of an example of how like you might think, oh, just do this pair. But actually, just doing this trick here, I think, works out better, honestly. Because if you tried doing this pair normally, you might do like that, rotate, insert, rotate again, because edge orientation. Or you could just do that trigger, and then that pair, and then the easy one there. Or you could do the lefty version, that works too. And same basic idea. So that's it for part one, and that's, in my opinion, where this little idea thingy, whatever, has the most potential, and part two will be these two. This is where it has slightly less potential, but I'm still going to be showing you examples of atrocious cases and how you can, use a simple, it's a different 5-move trigger, and it does depend on, where the misoriented edge is, but it can also set up that kind of rotational, and you can probably figure out, honestly, like you probably don't need to wait for part 2. I bet if you look down in the comments, someone will have figured out what the triggers are to give the good F2L continuations. But I'm making the next part anyways. Fuck it. Thanks for watching.